Hi Leo, welcome to your mid-November 2019 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. So, the heart of the message is the Temperance card. And this is a card that is associated with Sagittarius. So if you have a Sagittarian in your life, this is, the balance between the spiritual, the water represents the spirit, and the material, the earth, the foot on the earth. And so this could be like you, I was even thinking, because I'm starting this reading over again, but I was even wondering if some of you have been involved in some sort of spiritual practices lately that have brought more of a spiritual emphasis in your life, or if you're having a spiritual awakening, because we have here in the past position the Eight of Cups, maybe being on a spiritual quest, leaving what is no longer emotionally fulfilling for you. This can be a job that was well paying, had a high status, but was not fulfilling to your soul. And with the Temperance card, that particular scenario would make sense, because it's like maybe at one point you had valued material gain more than the spiritual development, and you saw how that was a dead end, and so you started developing that spiritual side, and now it's just like you're just very passionate about it. You may even be planning a trip that is far away, that connects with, a spiritual destination. A country like India, which has a strong, religious culture, like in it's kind of wrapped up in its everyday culture is that spiritual element. And or like Bali, these places where there are a lot of types of temples, and maybe even like temples and ashrams and things like that. And this can be in relationship. If you have felt that your relationship was not fulfilling you, or maybe you're saying, I can't be fulfilled by a relationship no matter how great the person is. I have to fulfill my soul, or I have to have a personal relationship with God, and the only way I can do that is going off on my own. The other thing too is that this could relate to alcoholism, or addiction in general, and maybe getting sober. So possibly you, Temperance, Leo, and that was because you've been having a spiritual awakening that has made it imperative to quit drinking, because you can tell that it's interfering with your spiritual development. Or maybe this is someone that you're dealing with who has these issues, and there's a temptation to leave. There's a desire, it's in the past position, so perhaps you have done it because you did not want to put up with their problems. With the card of the higher message, we have the Queen of Swords. So this is somebody who is definitely putting their feelings on the back burner in order to focus more on their head rather than their heart. I'd like to say that this woman, she is very, she's still feeling, if I had drawn the King of Swords, it's just that pure logic, which has its place, but to me, not when you're really dealing with matters of the heart. Because if you're turning off your emotion completely, then I feel like you're going into a place that isn't compassionate. And I mean, like, with yourself. Doesn't have to be even with another person, but not compassionate to you either. When I see her, the Queen of Swords, I think of somebody who needs to make a choice about something, a decision about something. And the person may be delaying that decision because of some emotions that they are still lingering. And that's why they need to be more logical about it. It's possible that you are swayed by emotion or some sort of sympathy. Yeah, it could be like, sympathy. Like if you are with somebody with an addiction and they are not willing to do anything about it, do you stay with such a person? If you feel like it's draining to you, it's affecting you in some way. What crosses you is the Wheel of Fortune, which to me means that you may be going through a challenging period altogether right now. If we look at life as a cycle, then you may feel like misaligned, some of you. And if that's the case in any way, understand that perhaps there's something you need to do to get the ball rolling again. And again, this could be like a decision that you have to make, that you have been not wanting to make. And it's almost like you set yourself free when you're able to make this decision. But perhaps, there's mitigating factors, and one of them is right here. Ace of Swords. This is about cutting through the illusion and seeing the truth. So what it sounds to me is like you are going to see things as they are. But, before that happens, you may be doing a lot of wishful thinking, being in denial, especially. And if that is due to a relationship, you may say, well, this person had a rough childhood, I can't leave them, and blah, blah, blah. And it's really like a tough call, because there may be times when it is perfectly part of the plan for you to remain in a relationship with somebody who is actively drinking. Maybe there's something in it for you. However, if you are feeling very strongly that this is not for you, then trying to force yourself to approve of it or think that it's good to have that type of person in your life. When I say type of person, somebody who is imbalanced. This can be addiction or emotional imbalance. And sometimes addiction, I think, does combine with that. For instance, if somebody has bipolar or some mood disorder where they are always like these extremes in emotions, sometimes they do self-medicate, and that's why they're drinking, and binge drinking. That was the other thing, excuse me, where sometimes, the person's on an even keel, and then there's a trigger, and that opens a door to maybe like going on a bender, if you will, and then that wreaks havoc on your life because you're, having to deal with the aftermath. And you may have experienced this one time too many, and you have begun to put two and two together and see how much they have dominated your relationship with their problems, that they're unwilling or whatever to solve right now if it hasn't been done yet. And so I did pick a card for the outcome, And I got the Nine of Wands. And we are having our Mercury retrograde until the 20th, and plus a shadow period afterwards. And this is, to me, like being on high alert, the Nine of Wands, the sentry at the gate. During Mercury retrograde, you may hear from an old flame, maybe somebody who you used to be involved with, and they may be friendly and acting like nothing happened if they were the one who broke up with you, and you may be kind of like questioning yourself, boy, maybe I made too much out of that. Maybe it was really not that big of a deal to begin with. Don't second guess yourself. This person may be trying to weasel their way back into your life because they haven't tortured you enough. So be very careful about getting too flattered, about having an ex contact you. But this can be you putting more limits on your worldly life. Maybe you are starting to really disengage with the things that you used to do that were more part of the world, social media, or a lot of excessive socializing in general, in person. And you realize you need more time for yourself, or you realize that it feels pretty meaningless to do those things. And you're really committed to a more intentional life. So you have to set certain boundaries, because people may want a piece of you. They may want to, always be calling you and always asking you to go out and this or that. So it's very interesting. It's an ongoing saga for sure. I hope that you enjoyed this, Leo. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.